What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Fantasy Files podcast, where we talk about our favorite fantasy series and topics. We are your co-hosts today, Spencer and Gabe, and today we are joined by the one and only Holly Tinsley. Thanks for hanging out, Holly.
Hi, I've ruined it already. See, this is how it goes.
No, you're great. You're great.
I meant to say hi. I'm good. How are you?
We're great. So a couple weeks ago, maybe like 3 weeks ago now, Holly reached out and she was like, hey, it's my birthday in a couple weeks. And I was like, oh, it's that time again. Yep. It's time to go. So of course we had to throw Holly a birthday party. By the way, happy birthday, Holly.
Yes. Happy birthday. Thank you very much.
So then we were trying to figure out, what are we going to do for the birthday episode? Are we just going to do like an off-topic thing? And Holly came in with a great idea, saying that she would like to ask us questions rather than the other way around. So we're going to kind of just chat for a bit and hang out and kind of catch up. And then I think she's got some questions for us. We're probably going to go wildly off topic on different tangents and be all over the place, but I think it's going to be a great time. We always love having Holly on the channel. With that said, if you want to reach out to us, you can do so either in the comments, or we have Twitter and Discord that are linked below. We also now have a Patreon that you can join and send us a few bucks a month for exclusive content and downloadable bookmarks and whatnot. And that just helps us pay for like the Adobe Premiere and the other like the music services that we use to put in music for videos and stuff. So there's that. And then what else do we have, Gabe? Twitter, Discord, Patreon.
Yep.
Subscribe and like.
There you go. Nailed it.
Subscribe to the channel and like the video. But yeah, with that out of the way, I think that's all I got. But before we get started, of course, we have to celebrate Holly's birthday properly. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Holly. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much. I commend you on your choice of cake as well.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I went in there and I was like, I was trying to explain to them. I was looking for anything that like had a face on it that I could stick like candles in the eyes. And it's just
like grimdark style.
Yeah, that's right.
Like grimdark SpongeBob. And so I was trying to explain to the lady, I'm like, yeah, I just need like a super basic cake. Do you guys have like they used to have like the paper cutouts that you could eat and you would just put it on the cake? She's like, oh yeah, we have that. And I'm like, do you have something that's like I'm trying to think of something that would be so at odds with candles in his eyes. And so I'm like, do you have something like SpongeBob or whatever? She's like, yeah. And she's trying to like take me through all these different cakes. I'm like, no. You don't understand. This is for a dumb gag. Like this is like this doesn't need to be some like big production. She's like, oh well, I don't know if like the thing like his arms will kind of be able to. I'm like, doesn't matter. I'm
yeah,
like,
it's all good.
I'm like,
I just need a face that I can stick eyes in or stick candles in the eyes.
And so finally, I kind of explained what she was doing. She's like, oh okay. And then her coworker was trying to come in and was trying to like offer me all these other things. And this lady's like, no, he's doing his own thing. Just get him the thing that he wants. And she's like, okay. And so yeah, I ended up getting SpongeBob on a cake. Apparently there's ice cream in this cake.
Ooh.
So
amazing.
Yeah, so I'm definitely gonna munch on that later. Probably not while we're doing the podcast this time.
See, I like to like in my head, like I have this vision that because obviously we're doing this now like as a yearly thing, is that each year you just kind of like throw the cake in a cupboard, and by the time 10 years have passed,
we'll
there's just a cupboard of cake.
I should just get like a plastic cake or like some sort of plastic base, and each year decorate it with something else.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Oh, but yeah, so happy birthday.
Yep.
I
Thank
love
you.
having you on, and it's always so much fun to talk to you. So how have you been doing lately? I haven't
Um,
seen you around Twitter much.
no, do you know what? I've kind of gone underground the last maybe 6 to 8 months, probably even longer than that, to be honest.
Mhm.
I've been doing so much stuff that is, I mean, I don't want to use the word boring, but it's boring. So I don't have a lot that I can come onto like social media and be really excited about. Like I am excited about the stuff that I'm doing, but it's like so much of like the admin and behind the scenes work and editing, and there's only so much people want to hear about that.
Sure.
But otherwise, it's been good. I've got a lot of stuff coming up. So the
Sweet.
Anatomy of Fear, which you guys supported.
Oh, I was going to ask about that. Yeah. How is
Yeah,
that?
that
When is that out?
do you know what? I mean, it was a really difficult project because I mean, it's hard enough coordinating one author, but when you've got 12 thrown into the mix, it's like having a herd of feral cats that all want to go and do. But actually, it's started to come together so nicely now, and everyone has been fantastic to work with, but it's a lot of work. And it's just got to the point now where we're starting to see formatting coming together, and we've got all the artwork, and we've got the goodies coming through. So we have like our sticker sets, and we have our the posters are coming through in the next like 2 weeks. So we're actually starting to see a physical product now.
Yeah.
In terms of when it's going to come out, at the moment we are on track to release the Kickstarter exclusive stuff in October, which is what we initially said, and then the mass market version that will probably be about a month afterwards. We are kind of at the mercy of the postal system at the moment, because our book plates are going around the world at the moment. They're currently heading from Canada to the US.
Okay.
So at the moment, like I say, we're on track, but it's very dependent on if things go awry or missing overseas, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's really good, and I'm really excited to get it out. So yeah.
Nice. And you guys hit your hit your stretch goals and stuff with that, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, we did. We hit our initial stretch goal was because we wanted to do an audio book as well. We wanted to get RJ Bailey on board. He was really up for working with us. So yeah, we hit that, and then we had a couple of other things. So we've got like 2 versions of the cover that we've done. We've got an amazing artist called Dawn Larder. She's done 2 different variations of it's the same design, but just with like cool little tweaks and stuff. So anyone who backed the Kickstarter is getting something that's super exclusive. It all looks really amazing. Every artist has got their own individual illustration. And yeah, we're just really happy with the way that it's come out.
That's cool. I was going to ask you about illustrators and cover artists and stuff. I was thinking recently about just having like some artwork done. Like obviously I'm not like an author or anything, but just having like kind of this image that I have in my head, just having somebody make that. How would you go about like trying to find an artist like that? Is there anywhere specifically you look, or is it just word of mouth?
My internet connection is unstable apparently, so we'll just deal with that as we go along. I've totally lost the train of where I was going. Yeah, so artists, it would depend on what I'm looking for. So if I'm looking for something that is more character based, I would probably look like on the D&D websites, like the D&D Facebook groups and stuff. They have like forums for artists. I have a book that I'm working on that I hope to get out either late this year or early next year, and I have gone to the fan art site for Critical Role, which I don't know if you guys have ever seen that, but they have a really big like community of artists and really talented people. So I kind of went on there, and then I like find people on Twitter that I've seen their art and I like it. There's like freelancer sites if you want something that's a little bit more kind of business like, but I mean, there's so many places. And I think when you're an artist, and especially if you're an indie artist, I think sometimes just having someone reach out to you and say, hey, I've got this work, this is what I'm looking for, is a really cool way to do it, because you find new artists that way. I mean, I found 3 of the artists I've used in the past purely by reaching out on social media and saying, I've seen you do really great art. Do you do it professionally? If not, would you be interested in having a paying gig? And so many artists are looking for that first paying gig, and it's so hard to find. So, it's just a case of getting out there and having a look.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, what about you, Gabe? What's been up with you lately? I feel like we played video games a lot last weekend, but I don't think we've really caught up a whole lot.
Well, I just officially finished training in my new job.
Ooh.
So
Oh,
I'm
congratulations.
officially building airplanes now, which is pretty
Ooh.
cool.
Oh man.
Yeah, pretty sweet. And then also we're moving, so that's always just a great time, So every weekend's been trying to get stuff together and get it moved, and had to go get a storage unit and rent
Yeah.
trucks and trailers and all sorts of stuff. So I've been pretty busy.
So you guys are doing the storage unit thing then?
Yeah, we don't really have a choice.
Yeah.
We didn't realize how much crap that we have and needed to keep.
Yeah.
So there's just no way we could fit it anywhere at my parents' property. I'm moving in with my parents, which is a lot closer to my work for however long we need to save some money, and then we're gonna either get an apartment or try and buy a house eventually.
Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it. Working more work.
Yeah, moving always sucks. I feel like every time I've moved, I've had this idea in my head where I'm like 90% of this stuff can go. I just need my
That's what I said.
laptop and my TV, and everything else can go out the door. And then you start packing stuff and you're like, well, I don't know.
Yep.
I,
I can't get rid of that. Yeah. That's exactly what happened. Exactly what happened. Because I told Leah, I was like, why don't throw it all away? We'll just start fresh.
Yeah.
Like, get rid of all of it. And then same thing, we were going through stuff and she's like, I can't get rid of this. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. We probably shouldn't get rid of that.
It's tough trying to, especially like packing. Packing is the worst part of moving, I feel like.
Oh yeah.
Leah's been doing all that while I'm at work, so I got pretty lucky.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah, I'm at the point where the next time I move, I'm just gonna hire. There's like companies that'll come pack you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think I'm gonna do that because I don't know how I could do all that again.
Yeah.
So
nuts.
Yep. So I find it's the unpacking that gets me. Like the packing I'm fine with, but it's the unpacking. I mean, we moved in probably nearly 10 years ago now into this house we're in now. And I can promise you there is still boxes in the attic that have never been unpacked.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fair. It was probably I moved in where I'm at about a year ago, and I had all these boxes, and I was doing pretty good about unpacking them and whatnot. But there was like 6 or something that I was just keeping in my closet, and literally they stayed there for almost a year. Meanwhile, I'm wondering, where did this thing go? And where did this thing go? And I'm like buying new versions of that thing because I can't find my old one. And so I'm like, what the heck? And then the thing is, I knew there was boxes in there, but I was certain I knew what was in them. And come a couple months ago, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to put an audiobook in. I'm going to pull those boxes out. I'm going to go through all of them. And I did it. And I'm so glad I did, because now my closet looks awesome. But as I was going through it, I'm like, here's all the shit I'm missing. Like, I was just like, damn it. My mom, she's the worst about that. Whenever we moved, there would just be boxes that were just in the garage pretty much forever. I think there's probably still boxes in her garage that I helped her pack.
And then you think about, like, if there's boxes in the garage that have been there, let's say 10 years, like, unless they're like keepsakes, you can probably get rid of it.
I know, that's dude, that is the difficult thing, because there's so many times where I look even just at my room, or just like downstairs, especially. I have a bunch of stuff that's in our kind of like storage area downstairs, and I'm like, I like everything that's in that corner. I haven't touched that since I moved in. It's literally like, it's all unpacked and it's sitting there, but it's not.
You've never once used anything from it, or
Nope. And then the worst part too is, like, things that you buy and that you keep in the bag, and you keep telling yourself, oh, well, I'll go return it and I'll get my 20 or 30 bucks back. And then you never do.
Yeah.
And then the day that you have like enough like mental energy to actually go do it, they're like, yeah, this was bought like 7 months ago.
Yeah, you only have 14 days to return it. So
it's like, oh,
like, dang it, dude.
But yeah, I have a whole corner downstairs of stuff that I literally have not touched since I've moved in. And I've literally played that game in my head so many times of like, I need to just throw it away. I haven't used it.
Yep.
I haven't used it. And then I look at things like my dog has like a little like carrier. And I'm like, well, but there'll be a time where I gotta like take him on a plane or a bus or something, and I'll need him in the carrier. No.
Yeah, no.
That's never happened.
No.
I'm just like, I don't know. It's so annoying every time, because I feel like a lot of stuff you just kind of walk by.
Yeah.
And you're like, you don't really think about it until it comes time to like, there's always that one day. I don't know if you guys are the same way. I don't let my house get like super out of control, but it'll go for like, there like throughout the week I'll leave like plates in the sink and stuff like that, and just kind of like stuff around. And then usually Saturday or Sunday is my day to be like, okay, and go through the house and do a sweep.
Pick everything up,
luckily, because it's only been a week, it's not really that much to clean up, so it just takes me like an hour or two. But I feel like there's certain things that aren't part of the regular cleaning routine, and I just walk by them all the time, don't even think about it. Like, I know that they're not like aesthetically pleasing downstairs, because it's just like a pile of kind of stacked stuff. But every now and then, do you guys have this where like maybe once every like 2 or 3 months you've reached your absolute limit of like, okay, I have to take care of this now, and it just becomes like a all day thing?
Yep. I would do that with like deeper cleaning, because I would say I'm the same way, but since living in this house, this has probably happened, I don't know, 6 or 7 times, where like I hit the point where I'm like, all right, I'm tired of seeing this dust everywhere. I'm tired of this. And I'll spend like quite literally a full day doing like a professional deep clean of everything.
Yeah.
Which is nice afterward, but it takes me like 6 hours, dude. It's like it's a day worth of shit.
Yeah. When you let it go too long, for sure. Are you kind of a neat freak over there, Holly?
I mean, I'm not a neat freak. I mean, I do keep on top of like like you said, the day-to-day stuff generally. I mean, I live in a house that's got 3 people in it, a dog and 2 cats, and it is a small house.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in a 200-year-old miner's cottage.
Oh,
so
whoa, cool.
It's small, it's really old. There's a limit to what I can do cleaning. I mean, so much of it is just falling apart. If I clean my kitchen too vigorously, like plaster will come off the wall.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So I have to find like a midway point between it being clean and it like being kept in a relatively stable condition. I mean, we're renovating like slowly, but it's been 10 years and we're still going on it. I mean, our chimney fell down last week. That was fun.
Like a total collapse, like just came off the roof?
It collapsed into itself.
Oh, okay.
So I where our fireplace is, our sofa is like on the like corner side of the wall.
Yeah.
And I heard stuff coming down the chimney. And
it's Santa.
I mean, that wasn't my first thought, but we get birds and cats and things like that in there. So I didn't think anything of it. And then literally about 30 seconds later, it just sounded like the whole roof had caved in. It just kind of went in and down. It was a Sunday night. It was rain.
Bummer.
It was just we had that to deal with. That was fun.
Gnarly.
So what happens now? Has somebody already come out, or is it like, did you guys put a tarp over it or anything?
We got someone. I mean, we found a great guy who came out the next morning, did an assessment on it, and then he sent someone over the next day. So it was like 48 hours from it kind of going down to it being fixed.
Nice.
But yeah, it's like stuff like that in an old house. It's just constantly trying to repair things and have things remortared, repointed, and re-roofed. Yeah, it's worth it, but it's a lot of time, it's a lot of money, it's a lot of effort.
Yeah,
for sure.
While we're talking about chimneys, can somebody can somebody please explain to me, if anybody here knows, because it like boggles my mind. How does rain not come down the chimney and like flood your house?
I mean, it does. Like, it doesn't flood it, but it does come down.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
say
like when you have a nasty rainstorm.
my chimney's got a metal sleeve that comes out of the brick on top with a
Okay.
cap, and then the sides are all slotted so the smoke can come out, but the rain can't
Oh,
come down.
okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say mine's similar. Mine's like it's not like a cap over it, but there's like a kind of a bracket inside it that makes the hole smaller.
Yep.
So I guess
Oh,
rain
okay.
comes down, but it's only like a little bit.
Yeah, it's not
Okay.
enough to do any damage.
Because I've always wondered that, and I work in construction, and I don't know how a chimney works.
Well, I didn't know how it worked until I actually had a chimney to use to keep me warm in the winter, you know?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I kind of miss having like an actual fireplace. Like,
Yeah, having wood heat in the house is like the coolest, most like comforting thing, and it's weird how comforting it is to me.
Yeah.
Because like it doesn't cost me any money, except for maybe some wood.
Yeah.
But because I'm like thinking in my head, because we have old electric baseboard heating, which is like just uber non-efficient, extremely expensive.
And very flammable.
Yeah. And so during the winter, like it would, it was like one point it was like 22 degrees, and I just kept feeding wood, and the house was 75 degrees, and I was like, that's pretty cool, man. I'm in control of this, temperature.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's something kind of nice about that too, just kind of like sitting down at the fireplace for a few minutes,
hearing it crackle, and and it would smell like cedar in the house, which I just love.
Yeah. And I don't know, like every time that I've like built a fire, I felt like I've accomplished something. Like there's some like caveman,
yeah, for
some
sure,
like caveman part of my brain where I'm like, I made fire. Like,
yep.
All right, well, what else do we have going on? Not that I don't love talking about chimneys, but what else do we have on the docket for today?
See, it's all going to go downhill from here. So, thing is, when I initially pitched this idea to Spencer, it seemed like a really good plan at the time. However, I then went away and I was like, oh shit, I've got to think of some questions to ask now. So I've been super professional and written my questions on a piece of paper. And I got to about an hour before we were due to do this, and I thought, oh shit, I haven't actually got anywhere to do the podcast. All the spaces in the house that I usually use are currently unavailable. The room I'm in, I've got no tables, no chairs, no nothing. I have had to MacGyver this shit. So my laptop is on a suitcase. My camera is like balanced next to it. I was so stressed.
Oh no.
The stress of this is real. So I kind of wanted to get into that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because this is something I don't think I could ever do personally. I mean, even now, I don't know. Do I look at you guys or do I look at the camera? I have no idea. How do you stay like calm doing this? Because it's stressful.
It's super stressful, and it took us, at least it took me. I think Spencer was kind of born with an inkling to not be freaked out about, and I'm sure he's gone through some stuff that made that possible, but I have a massive fear of speaking in public, or fear of doing that stuff. So it took me a long time, probably like a year, to get to the point where I was just okay with talking in front of the camera. But I still, to this day, when Spencer has me, this is going to sound dumb, when Spencer has me read part of the intro, I am shitting my pants. I'm shaking, wringing my hands. I'm just trying to get through it, because I don't know what it is about the scripted stuff, but it just freaks me out.
Oh yeah. I mean, so Spencer messaged me and said, do you want to do the intro for this? And I was like, no.
Yeah, nope, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But yeah, so it is stressful, and I know that it is. But the nice thing about, today is we're just all friends here. It's
Yeah,
nothing
I feel
crazy,
it.
and everything can be edited. So if there's a mistake made, we can fix it.
Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
it's all good.
Yeah, the thing about the intro, that was something that I wanted to start doing fairly recently, where I have Gabe read a part of the intro. Usually it goes like, welcome to the Fantasy Files. We're your co-hosts, Spencer and Gabe, and then I pass it over to him and I'm like, Gabe, what are we doing today? And then he like kind of says like what the subject of the
Yep.
podcast is for that day. And I wanted to start doing that not only to like liven up our intros, but I think that also, just since we've started the podcast, I've like Gabe said, I've always been very like, not always, but for the most part, for a long time, I've been very comfortable with like public speaking and stuff like that. And just over the course of starting the podcast, I've noticed a massive growth in Gabe, just as someone who is comfortable on a podcast. Now we can pretty much turn on the cameras and basically talk about anything. I think
Yeah.
there was an episode a little while back where I was like, hey, Sony is doing a showcase for all the video games that are going to come up in the next year. Like I literally think it was like the day of or the day before.
Yep.
I was like, let's just turn on the camera and watch the showcase and talk about video games. And with it being so different from what we usually talk about on the podcast, there was part of me where I was like, is this going to be good? But it was just one of those things where now we're at the point where we turn on the camera and we're just comfortable talking about whatever. And I think, we've been doing it almost every single week for
like
coming on 3 years
3
now.
years.
Almost 3 years.
Yep.
Yeah. And so I think there's definitely just part of that is practice and just like doing it again and again and again and again. And if you go back and watch our first couple episodes,
you'll see.
Yeah, like not only were they terrible, just like production quality, but and editing, but also just kind of us being comfortable in front of a camera was very like kind of start and stop and start and stop, and there was a lot of like really awkward transitions between subjects and whatnot. But going back to what I was saying a minute ago is that over the course of the past almost 3 years now, I've especially noticed a massive growth in Gabe and his level of comfortability of I don't know if you would like necessarily call this public speaking, but in that same vein.
Yep.
And so the intros, I started doing that not to get Gabe to like start doing like scripted stuff, but I feel like it's just one more level of everything kind of being like mixed in and getting more comfortable with stuff.
And as
He's been
nervous
doing a
as
great job with it.
Yeah, as nervous as I get about it, I do appreciate that you're doing it, because I've noticed that as I do it more, I can like, because it's always right before, like when you're reading the very first part is when I start to panic, right? But I've noticed that, I can just slow down a little bit and just kind of understand that I'm not going to like spontaneously combust, right? And so I'm appreciative of it, because I think it is helping kind of rewire my brain a little bit.
Yeah. Is it one of those things too where like once you start saying it, it's just like
I'm
totally
fine. It's literally just the suspense.
The build up, yeah.
Yep. And I think it's, and that just stems from a fear of like messing up, right? And I know that like I could redo it, right? We edit stuff.
Right.
And so I just gotta, like I said, kind of retrain myself to understand that that's not a big deal. Like it's not the end of the world. You're not gonna destroy the podcast because you messed up a word, right?
Right. I think the point where I myself will get a little bit nervous is when we start doing live shows, because I think we have 85. What's our most recent one? We have 84 episodes up on the YouTube channel. And when we get to 100, we're going to do a big live stream.
Well, that's so cool. That's awesome.
And we're going to, I was actually going to ask you if you wanted to come on for it, because we're going to do, I'm thinking, nobody freak out. Hear me out first.
Okay. All right.
We're going to do like a 5 or 6 hour live stream,
Whoa.
but we're going to like swap out. I'll probably be there for the whole thing, but then like Gabe and Mick can swap out and come back and forth if they want to, or they can stay for the whole thing. And then we're going to have guests. What I was thinking was just get like a big roster of guests and have each of them kind of cycle in
And
like
just keep
every
popping
hour.
them in and out. Oh,
Yeah.
that'd be
Sounds
cool. That'd
And
be
so,
really
like,
cool.
Holly comes in for an hour with like a few other people, whoever else is on for that block of time. And then when we get to that hour, if the next person is ready to come in, one person leaves and the next person comes in. And so we'll always have like 5 or 6 people at any given time. I think by this point we've had enough guests to where we could probably get a pretty good, probably get a good collection of people for that. So when we start doing live streams like that, I think I will start to get more nervous than I usually am, because it's like, oh, I can't edit this.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Just on that idea, because that's an awesome idea, but it's making, I wonder what is like the world record for how many guests have been on a single podcast.
Ooh.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna Google that right now. I'm gonna Google it right now.
Gabe's the Google machine.
Yep.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder.
All right, I found it.
Okay, what is it?
One podcaster has just officially broken the world record for the longest interviewing marathon ever, which is his podcast. He interviewed 137 podcast guests in just under 30 hours.
That's not that much. If you've got like 4 or 5 on at a time.
Well, no, so interviewing one-on-one.
Okay.
But back to back.
Yeah, there wasn't a
type in at one time.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for, and that is what I typed in.
Oh, okay.
That would be cool, though. That'd be awesome.
That is a wild amount of work. Though.
Yeah.
137 people in 30 hours. But yeah, it would just be like super messy if like trying to have even more than like 6 people on the podcast. I feel like is really hard, unless
well, we've done that before, and it was super fun, but also the most uncoordinated.
Yeah. on that one.
Yeah. I think that was the
5.
other. Yeah.
That was 5 with you guys. The next one we had I think 6 authors plus us.
Yeah. And everybody was like drunk, and it was a great time. Like
no, that was the one she was on.
Okay,
that was the one where everybody was getting
my
drunk.
one. Yeah.
Okay.
It was the next one was we had a bunch of people.
Oh, that's the guy with We Break Immortals was.
Yeah, he was on the drunk one.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
It was it Ryan, Crystal, me, Thomas.
Okay, yeah, that was the fun one. That was the fun one.
That was the fun one.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, but the other one we had just a bunch of authors on, and it was a good time, and luckily we kind of like organized it to where like each person kind of had a turn.
Yeah.
And that was okay, but still it was like a lot of like crosstalk and stuff that I had to end up like editing out and stuff. So I think it would be tough with more than like 6 people in a podcast. I'm trying to remember where I was going to go with that. Oh, the place that I got the idea from was this other podcaster who was basically doing the exact same thing, did like a long live stream or having people come in and out. But he got up to like, there was like 12 people in his podcast at one point, like 12 or 15 people.
Crazy.
And just as like a listener, I was like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening because I can't hear anybody.
Where's the topic?
Yeah. Did that answer your question? I know I went down a rabbit hole.
No, it did. It kind of touched on a few other things that I was going to ask anyway. I mean, one thing that I really struggle with doing podcasts is having a camera on me, and you know, talk about public speaking, and put me in front of a person and I have no issue speaking to anyone. Put me in front of a room of people, I'm fine. Put me in front of a camera, I just turn into a wreck. Like even now I'm paranoid because I know it's there, but I can't bring myself to look at it. So like the stuff like the camera skills, the editing, is this stuff that like, did you know it already, or is this just, did you think, hey, we'll start a podcast and just see what happens?
No, it was exactly that. There Spencer had no editing stuff prior, I think, right? You've never messed around with that, and it was the same thing. And just to answer your question too, Holly, I don't ever look at the camera. The camera's above my laptop and I'm looking at you guys on my screen, and I don't think a single time in any podcast have I looked at the camera. So don't be afraid.
That's what I need to do. I need to move mine so it's not in my eye line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I cheat a little bit. I have the camera, like right now my camera is sitting directly, or yeah, my camera is sitting right next to Holly's face on my
Ah,
screen. So
gotcha.
when I'm looking down at her, I'm basically looking
Yeah,
at the
I
camera.
center my stuff up so you guys are center right below the camera,
Yep.
and it's never been a problem. Like it's totally fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with podcasting, I feel like most people that are like tuning in for this stuff, I feel like they're probably like hitting play and then setting the phone in their pocket. So they're
Mm.
probably not like watching a whole lot of the stuff that's actually happening on screen. I'm sure there's a few people that do, but I think for the most part, people are probably like just kind of setting it to
Yeah,
the side
and
for
when
a
we do
while.
podcasts like, with other people too, like I would, I'm assuming people come, of course, for the content, but stuff like this, they come for the interactions
Yeah,
between us,
definitely.
So
Yeah,
eye contact doesn't matter. We're just enjoying each other's company.
right. And yeah, I think as far as the kind of the technical stuff, we did kind of just decide that we wanted to start a podcast. We actually had Friends Talking Fantasy on the other week, Friends Talking Fantasy podcast. And yeah, we had them on, and that was a really interesting episode because it was kind of us coming full circle. They're literally the reason why we're a podcast. Is I was listening to them, and then I realized that they were doing it over Zoom and that they had microphones and stuff, but really they were in two completely different states, and they were able to do a podcast over Zoom, and I had never like realized that before. It was kind of at the beginning of like the whole pandemic. um, and so yeah, it was kind of like, you know what? I think we could do this. And Gabe and I were just talking every day about fantasy and stuff. And so I'm like, we could like record our thoughts on this. And it was certainly a learning curve as far as like figuring out how to set everything up. I think at first, I think I had always been on camera, but I think for the first couple episodes, Gabe
Yeah,
just had a
I
picture
was
up.
too scared to even turn my camera on.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, I trying to remember what other technical hurdles we had. Editing was a big one. I started with like a really crappy like free video editor, and it was ruining all my videos. It was causing like this black bar to appear at the screen like every time I had made a cut in the video. And so that was really annoying. And then once I switched over to Premiere, it's been awesome. But yeah, I don't think we've had too many technical hurdles, unless you can remember any, Gabe.
No, no. The only probably technical hurdle that we've had, I think, and not so much anymore now, but was just internet, as you've seen
Yeah,
today. It's hard because it's something that you rely on, but it's also just a system. It's like your power can go out, the internet
yeah,
can go out, and it's not foolproof. So
yeah,
that's it. But I feel like it's kind of a given because
yeah.
it's bound to happen at some point.
Hmm. And
Other
there's
than
not
that,
really any way to tweak the internet. Like,
no,
there's
no,
no way to
no.
like
Yeah, it's
fix it.
out of your
Yeah,
control,
yeah.
completely out of your control. You can't do
So
nothing about it.
yeah,
Um,
I
and yeah,
think.
and then just upgrading equipment,
Hmm.
getting a better camera and better microphones. Not really a
Yeah,
hurdle, but
yeah.
just
Just
kind of
part of the
makes, yeah,
part of the process.
part of the thing of the part.
I think the only like real technical hurdle that I can think of in recent memory was we did a podcast in person. And so we had two
Oh
separate
yeah, that was
laptops with two
crazy.
separate cameras, like different angles, and
Yeah,
we had two separate microphones. It was really interesting to set up. It was definitely a process
yeah,
to set all that up. I think it took like an hour and a half or so. And then editing it was interesting because you have these two videos that you're running side by side, and you're cutting certain sections out to switch to the other camera angle.
yeah,
Mm.
And so that was really fun. I love to do more stuff like that when we do in-person stuff, because it was a lot of fun just to kind of figure out and try to, yeah, I guess try to figure out like how we were gonna pull that off. And I think it turned out okay. It didn't
yeah.
the finished product didn't turn out great, but it turned out okay. It was good.
And
Yeah.
we had fun.
Yeah, it was a great time.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think like just the the image in my head, like Spencer, you kind of had these podcasts that you were a fan of. You decided, right, I'm going to do this. You went out and got the equipment. How long did it take you to persuade Gabe to get on board with this? What did you have to say?
he was certainly reluctant, but I think it didn't take like that long. I think we like talked about it for a week, and there was probably like a day or two where I was like, I wonder if he's gonna go for this. But at the end of the day, I think, and Gabe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but at the end of the day, I think Gabe is the kind of person where, like, if you're friends with him, he's pretty much down for whatever. Like, I've never really known Gabe to be like to put a hard line, like, no, I absolutely don't want to
do that.
Yeah. And so I think that's the cool thing about Gabe is he's, I can pretty much count on him to do just about anything. Like anything we can come up with, he's always pretty on board for it. So
yep,
yeah.
I appreciate that. And yeah,
do you remember?
I was for sure reluctant. And then the thing I told myself in my head is when he pitched this to me was that were the caveats of, okay, I'm not going to do camera. I'm just going to talk.
Right.
And so I did that. And then after like, it was probably 3 episodes, like I got comfortable and was like really enjoying talking to you about these books.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, going for it. Did the camera. And then the next like 6 episodes, I was just like fucking terrified, shaking and shit. But yeah. So I was reluctant for sure, but it's been a huge part of our lives for the last 3 years, which seems like a long time. So I'm very, very glad that that we did this. So
yeah, like I couldn't imagine, like, I'm sure life would be fine, but like I just can't imagine like what life would be like without having done this.
This is like our like our child now, dude. It's like a huge part of our thought process constantly.
For sure.
Cool. I like it. I like that you guys have got like an origin story, but I mean, obviously you have got other people in the team. So like, how did you put the team together? Was it like you had an idea of who you wanted to work with, or did it kind of come about by accident?
Yeah. So Spencer, our other co-host, has been on a couple times. His name's Chris. He
comes on like 3 times a year.
So maybe not co-host, but he's a good friend of ours.
He's a co-host. Okay, yeah, for sure.
Spencer's known him for a long time, right?
Since 2nd grade, yeah.
2nd grade, yeah, super long time. And when we started doing this, Spencer would hound him like, "Come on, man, you gotta come on here, like, let's do it." So he came on, and that was great.
Yeah, he joined us pretty close to the beginning. I think he was in like our 6th episode.
Yeah, a couple episodes after the first, yeah.
And that's another thing that changed too. When we first started the podcast, we were recording an episode every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so our 6 episodes, like, that took us like
way longer.
A few months to get to that point. But yeah, he came in. I think it was like the 6th or 7th episode, and that was for Mistborn. And I had been talking to him about coming on the podcast to like chat or whatever. But I didn't like I said, I've known the guy since 2nd grade. I didn't think that he read like fantasy books. Like I didn't even know. And I was talking to him like, "Oh, we just read this one book. I think you might really like it. It's called Mistborn." He's like, "Oh, I love Mistborn."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Wait, what?" And he's like, "Yeah, dude, I read that whole trilogy. I loved it." I'm like, "Oh, dude, well, we're about to do an episode on it. Like, come on the podcast." And so that's kind of how that started. And then he came on for like Lies of Locke Lamora and a few other ones. And then eventually just kind of became a co-host. By the end of that year, I was like, "Yeah, you're a co-host."
Yeah.
And then Mick, that was a really interesting one. So that was as we were getting close to the end of 2022. We were starting to, we've had so many guests on, and we were starting to get to the point where the range of content we wanted to do was so wide. And there was some things that I was really into that Gabe just simply wouldn't be into. And there was things that he was into that I simply wouldn't be into. And so we had Mick on for, I think, the Halloween episode. I think that was his first one, and we all dressed up like some Halloween costume. I think I was Elvis, Gabe was Jason,
Yep.
and Mick was a vampire.
Yeah.
How have I not seen this one?
Oh,
it's a good
dude.
one.
Yeah,
it's a good
look
one.
up if you go to YouTube, look up what book was it? What's the Stephen King one about vampires?
Oh crap. Yeah, I forgot the name.
Salem's Lot.
Salem's Lot.
Okay.
Yeah. If you look up Salem's Lot Fantasy Files, you'll see us all in costume on the thumbnail. But yeah, it was a really great time. And then we had him on as a guest again because I think he had been tweeting about the last Mistborn book of the second era, The Lost Metal, that was getting really popular for a while. And so we're like, hey, we want to do a Lost Metal episode. Why don't you come on and talk about it? And honestly, we just had like such a good time with him.
Yeah.
And Gabe and I got to the point, like I said, where the range of content we wanted to do was so big. And we were like, should we bring on another co-host, like someone who can come more consistently than Chris? And for a while we were thinking about asking MJ Kuhn, because she had been on a few times, and she's also a co-host on I think it's a Zelda podcast. Like they just talk about like Legend of Zelda. And so I was literally just about to ask her, and then she got the co-host position at what is it, SFF Addicts? Is that the podcast? Yeah. And so like literally like the week I was gonna ask her, I woke up and saw that she got it. I'm like, dang it. So then I started thinking about it more, and this is we were getting to the end of the year in 2022, and we were having our in-person end of the year podcast, and we just started talking about it on that podcast. And I was like, I think Mick might be a good choice. Like, I think that he'd be good. And so I kind of reached out to him, and it seemed it was going to be difficult at first, because at first he's like, oh yeah, I'd love to do like more stuff with you guys. Like, I don't know if I can commit to being like a full-time like co-host or anything. And I was like, okay, well, think about it and see how it goes. And I think we had him on as a guest like one more time. And then he moved from Ireland to Australia. So it's the difference of being 8 hours ahead of us to
12, I
being
think,
like
or
a day, like 14 hours or
14,
something.
yeah.
And so that kind of came with its own complications. And he's like, I think I do want to commit to this. Like, I think I do want to like be like a full-time co-host with you guys. But he's like, I'm 14 hours ahead, so I don't know how we do it. And so it took a lot of figuring out. There was a lot of for a while he was coming on Sundays, and for him it would be before work on Monday.
Yeah.
So he like starts work at like 10:30, something like that. So he'd get on at like 7:30 in the morning his time and jump on and record for a couple hours, and he'd have like a half hour or an hour before work. And so there was a lot of things to figure out. Now we kind of have it in a good place where whenever he's on, we do it on a Saturday, so that's Sunday for him. Because now with Gabe's new job, the reason that we were doing it on Sundays before was because he worked for Amazon, and I think
I work Saturdays.
Yeah, Sunday and
was
maybe
my only day.
Yeah. And yeah, so he just had Sundays. So that's really the only reason why we ever did Sundays. But now that he has Saturdays off, we can do the occasional one on a Saturday, like for this or for Mick, since he's in the future. But but yeah, that's how all the co-hosts came on. And now Mick is doing really, really cool stuff. There's been a couple times where I've wanted to tackle a subject can't talk today, and Gabe was like unavailable or whatever, so I was able to hit up Mick and be like, hey, do you want to hop on for like 45 minutes and just record this quick thing with me? So that's been nice. And then also Mick, he hit me up like what was that, like two weeks ago or something, and he sent me like this long thing, and he was like, and we had talked about him doing like his own spoiler-free reviews where it's just him in front of a camera, like reading from a script or whatever. And we had talked about it briefly, but we never really pinned anything down about it. And he didn't seem super like, oh yes, I definitely want to do that. And one day out of the blue, he just sent me this long message on Twitter. He's like, I got this whole plan. And he's like, he like runs through this whole episode that he wants to like script and record and everything. He's like, I'm really into Malazan right now. I just want to talk about it. And I know you guys don't want to talk about it. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, yeah, dude, make a video. And
Yeah.
literally, I think the next day he sent me like the
Yep.
finished recording.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, he really wanted to do this.
Yeah.
And so he sent that over to me, and that was so nice because, you know, it's raw recording. I edit it. And so, you know, just getting that sent over, like whenever I sit down for one of those videos, I'm putting up a green screen. I'm writing a whole script that can take like 2 days sometimes to write a script. And just kind of like getting everything like perfectly situated. I have to like record a sample of whatever I'm doing to make sure that the green screen is lit well when I put it into Adobe. All that stuff, it's so much work. It was nice to not have to do any of that. And have Mick just send me his video that he's already put all this work into. It took me like 2 hours, maybe 3 hours to edit it, which is like 20 hours less than what I would normally
Yeah,
do.
for real.
Oh, it was so nice. And so that's been great. I'm really happy that he's gotten super excited about that, and it seems like something he's really passionate about, and that makes it fun for me to edit if he's having a good time. And it allows me to do a lot of like creative things in editing if he's doing like funny stuff on camera and whatnot. So yeah, that video is great. I highly recommend if anybody is into Malazan or is thinking about getting into it, go check out his video. I'll link it in the annotations up there. But yeah, and then so he's turning from that video, he's turning that into a whole series where he's going to go book by book, and he's going to have a guest on, very much in like a podcast kind of way. And of course, I've told everybody I'm literally never ever going to read Malazan. It's just like way above my pay grade. And so I'm like, I'll edit podcast episodes, like spoil the hell out of it. I don't care. I'm never going to read it.
Isn't it like 500 books or something?
Yeah, there's like 12 or 14 in the main series. And then there's another author that he teamed up with who wrote a parallel series that is in line with the events. And I just don't know. It's one of those things like Warhammer where it's like, I wouldn't know where to start. Like I would like, I definitely want to play Warhammer at some point, but like all the books and everything, I'm like, dude, that world is so big. Like, I don't know where I would jump in at. Malazan is kind of like that.
Cool. Wow. As we're talking about Mick, I'm just smoothly segue into my next section now.
Sweet.
Okay.
I thought, because it's my birthday, it would be quite fun if we played a game. And I was really gutted when I found out that obviously Mick couldn't be on the podcast because time zones are a bitch.
Yeah.
So during this week, I reached out to Mick and sent him a couple of messages because I entered a game, and Spencer, you can feel free to add in some like cool flashy graphics for this. Called What Did Mick Say?
Oh.
So I sent Mick a bunch of questions, and he sent me his answers back. So I'm going to see if you guys can guess.
Oh, yikes, dude. Okay.
So,
wait, really quick, is it like multiple choice, or do we have to just say out what we thought he said?
Just what you think his answer was.
Okay.
So the first one, I asked him, what book would he take to a desert island?
Oh, I might know that. Hold on.
Okay.
Go ahead, Spencer. Any ideas?
I'm gonna guess it's got to be one of the Malazan books, I think. And I think the one that he was really into was.
I'll answer really quick. I'm gonna say the book Reaper, by Will White.
Okay. Spencer's taking this really seriously.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's Memories of Ice.
Okay. So it actually, you're kind of right, but I discounted that because he wanted to take the whole Malazan series, and I said no, you can only pick one book.
Yeah.
Not so he actually said Kings of the Wild.
Oh,
Oh,
nice,
what?
dude. Hell
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
That's a
That's
great book.
surprising.
I love it. Way to go,
So
Mick.
That's great.
no points there, sadly.
Yep.
So
We'll
my
get him next time.
Yeah, I mean, you were kind of right. It was more me saying you can't take a whole series to a desert
Yeah,
island.
I got you.
Yeah.
So I then asked him what book character would he like to be for a day?
Ooh. What book character would that's a great
Yeah, I'm gonna
question.
say I don't have a whole lot of books in common with Mick or know what he is, but I know he enjoyed the series that we read. So I'm gonna say Ethan Aurelius
What's that from? I don't know that one.
It's from
Cradle.
Cradle.
Okay. Spencer, what are you going to go with?
I don't know any of the Malazan characters.
Every answer's just going to be Malazan.
Yeah.
Maybe someone from Mistborn. Ooh, geez, these are hard. I'm trying to think of what I'm looking through his Twitter.
You can't cheat.
I was going to say, does that count as cheating? I'm not sure.
I don't think so. I don't think the answer is gonna be in here. I was looking at what he read. God, I don't know. I'm trying to remember character names. Like I can't.
Just
remember.
put you out of your misery now, because I feel like this could go on for a while.
Yeah,
Gabe,
sure.
right?
Oh, Gabe
Yes!
was right.
Yes,
Oh!
dude. Yes. Oh my God. You've got to be kidding
Wow.
me. Mick, let's go, dude. Let's go. That's amazing. I
Oh,
did
that's
not
so
think I was
funny.
gonna get that right. Oh my
didn't
That was
God,
either.
I'm
pretty
gonna text him.
impressive.
Like, I got your freaking question right, dude. Yes.
All right,
That's
let's go.
awesome.
Let's see if we can go for two now. So
Okay.
I asked, who would be your ideal podcast guest, like your dream podcast guest?
Wait, who we think his would be?
Yeah.
Okay.
Will White.
Either that or Steven Erickson. I don't know.
So yours is Steven Erickson?
He actually went with Sanderson.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
did-
actually,
I wouldn't
Sanderson
have guessed that.
probably would have more. I'm sure Mixed read probably way more Sanderson than he has Cradle, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
All right.
he said it would be based on the fact that Sanderson would probably have a lot to say.
Yeah.
So it would probably be like a pretty easy podcast to do because he could just sit there.
Okay.
Okay, so I have two more questions left that I asked him. They're getting a bit personal now, so just prepare yourself.
Yep.
I asked him, who would you say first in a zombie apocalypse, Spencer or Gabe?
Oh, definitely Gabe.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'm a shithead. I don't think he'd save me. I think he'd save Gabe.
Okay, let's go with that.
Okay, so he actually said he'd save Chris. You two are on your own.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's so good, dude.
Oh, that's
Oh
awesome.
my gosh. That's freaking awesome, dude.
I'm getting into this now. So we've got one more left. So Gabe's got 1 point. Spencer, you're on 0. So you need to get this to be a draw. The last question I asked was, who would win in a hand-to-hand battle out of the two of you?
Spencer.
Out of Gabe and I?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Spencer for sure. I don't doubt it for a second. I've never ever been in a fight ever in my entire life. Never hit anybody, never been hit. I've never wrestled, done anything like that. And I think Spencer may have been in a couple scraps in his heyday. So I don't know. I've got some weight on him now for sure.
Yeah.
Got some weight.
That's what I was gonna say. Is
Yeah.
You're like technically like bigger, but okay. All right, we'll go with that. Me.
Yeah.
He said Gabe.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All right,
I don't
cool.
fault him for it. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I just get claps on Spencer and win, you know?
So yeah, I mean, I feel like you did terribly on that.
Yeah.
I'm so happy I got one right, dude. You guys have no idea how happy that made me that I got that Ethan and Aurelius question right. I was in my head.
So great.
I was in my head and I was like, fuck, I remember we talked about it and like because I love Ethan Aurelius, dude. One of my favorite characters ever written. So I'm just stoked. I just texted him in the group chat. I was like, bro, I just got your Ethan question right. Fuck everybody else.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Cool.
was a great idea,
That was
Holly.
cool, Holly.
Yeah.
Yes. Genius idea. Wonderful.
I was like, what can I put in this thing? Like, I know I've got to come up with questions. Like, do you know what? I'm just gonna get Mick to answer
Yes.
some.
No, that was
Yeah.
awesome.
Take the work
Awesome.
out.
Awesome. Awesome.
So yeah, I kind of have some questions for you guys, which are a little bit more kind of general questions about life, and you know, you've got a lot of wisdom to share. So
I don't know about that.
but you know, we go into some of the deeper stuff. But before we do, I wanted to talk a little bit about the fact that there was an event that happened in the last like week and a half, which is probably the most exciting thing to happen in my life for a while. Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh.
Yes.
I want
Yes.
to know, have you been playing? What do you think? And if you haven't been playing, why not? Because if not, this is going to be a very short conversation.
Oh, you're gonna hate me, Holly.
No.
So I have not played it because I think that I'll get this out of the way. I think that it is a gorgeous game, and it is a just monument of ingenuity, and the things that they were able to do with Baldur's Gate are absolutely incredible. I've listened to many like super long deep dive reviews of the game and things that other people experienced in it, and I think that that is so wild and so cool. I would love to be a part of that. Literally, the thing that is stopping me, the one thing, is that I cannot play turn-based combat. I just can't. I've never been able to play turn-based combat. Every single time I try, I just want to jump off the Space Needle. It's just like it's just I don't know. Like I wish you would think that it would be one of those things where I'm like, okay, yeah, I could put on like an audiobook and just kind of go through like the turn-based stuff and like not really worry about it too much. I've tried playing so many Final Fantasy games, so many other games of that sort, where I'm like, I really want to get into this. I'm going to try the turn-based thing, and then I just never, ever can. And that's why I was so excited with Final Fantasy 16, except they don't have it on PC yet.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, it's a Final Fantasy game that's not turn-based. I can finally play it. I was so excited. And Baldur's Gate, I was planning on playing it up until like a week before it launched. I was going to play it. And then reviews started coming out. I didn't realize that it was turn-based. And I'm like, and like I went so far as to like look at combat and stuff. I'm like, could I do this? And I was watching the combat and like how long each like combat scenario takes to play out. And I was just like, I don't think I'm hardwired that way. I just don't think I could do it. Do you have any thoughts, Gabe?
Yeah, so I'll be honest. I don't think I've ever played much of a turn-based game except for there was like a Halo game that was turn-based. Halo Wars or something.
Halo
long
Wars,
time.
yeah.
Halo Wars, yeah, a long
Yeah.
time ago. And actually I like that a lot.
Okay.
And so I haven't thought about it because, again, like I'm very much into the full movement and dodging and fighting and all that stuff, which Baldur's Gate might have, I don't know. But one of my coworkers, him and his wife got it day one and I've been playing it. And while we're at work, the last couple of days, I finished all my training. So I've been doing nothing but sitting down.
Yeah.
Right. And he would show me videos of him and his wife playing. And I'm like, dude, that actually looks pretty cool. Like, looks pretty sweet. And so I'm very close to buying it.
Oh, okay.
I'm on the fence because I'm not sure yet. But from what I've seen, and plus I could play with them, right? Like we could all party up and play together. So I haven't played it yet, but I am hopefully going to play it.
That was one thing that almost knocked me over the edge into buying it, was finding out that there was co-op. I was like, oh, Gabe and I could
and it's like really cool co-op too. Like he was showing, it's incredible co-op.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, I will play it eventually.
Okay, well, you play it and you tell me if you're able to stomach the combat.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then I might pick it up. I might
try
just
it
get
out.
it like when it's on sale. Like I'm not averse to like buying it and trying it
Yeah,
or whatever,
for sure.
but I'm like, I don't know if I want to spend $70
Yeah, well, and
on a
that's
game
what that's the
yeah,
reason why I don't have it right now is because I'm
right.
gonna have to. I need to wait till payday, and then I have to
Yeah.
make a conscious decision.
Yeah.
Because you know me, you know what I'm really good at is buying a brand new game, and what?
And then never playing it.
Never playing it. All right. So I'm trying to be better about that. I'm trying to
Nice.
make sure I
That's good.
know my body, know what's, what I know what I want to do. So
That's
I
so
just
fun.
gotta get to a point where I'm like, all right, I'm in for this.
Okay. Yeah, you let me know if you like it. If you really like it, I'll buy it at $70. If you think it's like okay or whatever, then I'll buy it
Yeah.
when it goes down to like 40 or whatever.
Yeah.
But I just don't know. I just don't know if I want to spend that much money for something that I'm not sure I'm gonna put
For sure. And that's
that many
fair.
hours
That's
into.
totally fair. And then
But
Holly, or
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I
No,
was
no.
just gonna ask Holly really quick. Have you been playing it since day one? Have you been going off on some Baldur's Gate?
Well, I haven't played it since day one because we only have one gaming PC in our house,
Oh,
and
gotcha.
my husband won the
He hit
fist
the
fight
lottery.
we had to
Yeah.
have. So he played it first, but I have been playing it, and he's also, I mean, literally right now he's downstairs. He's got a co-op group going.
Oh,
nice.
They're
cool.
playing
Cool.
it. So I mean, straight out of the gate, he had it on early release,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
and kind of was testing the waters with it. And then
Yep.
as soon as the full release came out, we were straight on it.
Awesome.
I mean, I totally get that it's not everybody's cup of tea. It's not going to appeal to like people who like that kind of combat that you described, but for people who are used to playing things like Divinity and like RPGs,
Yeah.
because I mean it's so sandbox as well. I think someone worked out that there's over 17,000 different variables to the
Yes.
ending of how
Yep.
you can play this thing out. So
Everybody you talk to can change something, is
absolutely,
what
yeah.
I heard, which is pretty
Yeah.
cool.
I mean, you can play one game. I mean, my husband's playing a solo game, he's playing his co-op game, and both of them are just completely different
Yeah.
games.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think people talk about like the price of it and stuff, and yeah, obviously it's an expense, but then I think you also are getting, so many
yeah.
thousands of
For real, almost
options.
different games every time. You can pick a
100%.
different route. Yeah.
Yeah, I was there's a reviewer that I watch all the time, Luke Stevens. He's got a fantastic YouTube channel, and he looks at games from a very critical lens. Like he doesn't let anything fly. He's a super like personable guy, and his videos are really fun, but when he looks at a game, he's looking at like really specific details. I don't think I've ever seen him give something like a glowing review. Like usually it's like, yeah, this game is good, it's worth your money. I don't think I've ever
But
seen him
there's
like
some
over the
issues,
moon
yeah.
about a game.
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate, he was literally like, I don't know what to complain. Like there's nothing. He's like, this game is basically perfect. Like I've never seen a more perfect game than this. And that alone made me go like, whoa,
You
okay.
question your thought process on it.
Yeah. But he was also saying that there was something he did where his group, he had all his companions or whatever, and they're going through some dungeon, and there's like the temple that they were in was part of this cult, and one of the people in his co-op, or not his co-op, but one of the people in his parties, one of the NPCs was like they had some like past trauma with this cult, or they'd been attacked by them or something, and so they kind of harbored this resentment. And so he's going through this dungeon and he loots a necklace, and then he starts like wearing the necklace, didn't think anything about it. 10 hours later into the game, the NPC told him, yeah, I've kind of been harboring this resentment against you because you're walking around with that like talisman around your neck, and those were the people that like really hurt me.
Yeah.
It's like, excuse me,
Yeah.
what? Like,
yeah, for
that
real,
is
dude.
wild, dude. I've never heard of anything like that happening in a video game. Like that's such a specific thing. Like you happened to loot this item that they're offended by, and then they tell you. It's one thing to like loot the item and get an immediate cut over to the character like, oh, you shouldn't loot that or whatever, you shouldn't wear that. But then 10 hours later have like this resentment that's built up between this NPC and you, and then 10 hours later you find out about it. I'm like, that is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Like that's wild.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much stuff in it that, like that. I mean, the level of complexity in like the narrative that they've done is just, it's mind-blowing, and every character has got, like you say, these different like backstories and traumas and likes and dislikes, but just even the slightest difference in interaction just changes the whole story and just flips it. It's just crazy the way they've done it. I mean, I don't know how long. Obviously, they've worked on this for years.
Had it been for a long time. There's no
together.
way that they couldn't have.
That's so wild. That's so crazy.
It's like having 3,000 ways through a story that are all different.
Yeah.
But it's still one story.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this the other day. Like, this year has been so good for video games. Like, I am just amazed by some of the games that have come out this year. But as many of those games as I have really enjoyed, and that would be contenders for my game of the year, I think that Baldur's Gate 3 should absolutely win like the big like game of the year from all of the gaming outlets, because
for sure it probably will.
Yeah, because the work that they've been able to put in on that is outstanding. I haven't played it, but I haven't seen anything like it ever.
Yeah. The one thing I would say is that if any part of it is going to appeal to you, Spencer, it's going to be the humor in it.
Oh, cool.
Honestly, there's just stuff in there that I have never seen in a game, but also never would have thought to put in a game. It's got a lot of, not safe for work content. So
I heard there's bear fucking.
Yeah, that's it. There's one bit where I think you walk into like a barn and there's like an ogre and a werewolf doing it doggy style, and it's just like the funniest thing. Like, honestly,
whoa, all right, cool.
I was like, God. Yeah, that's really great. Didn't expect that, but yeah,
that's awesome.
Maybe I do need to play this game.
Yeah, definitely. If you get a chance, to say
I'm gonna for sure. Like, no matter what. If I wait for it to go down or just buy it, I really think I'll probably just buy it when I get paid. Because every day I see all my coworkers playing it and they're just absolutely in love. I feel like it's something, the turn-based, I could get used to, even if it does rub me the wrong way a little bit, at first.
Yeah.
Because I think once you experience the actual gameplay and the story and the way that, it's set up, I feel like I could, turn myself from the whole, I don't like turn-based thing.
Okay. Yeah, I think with turn-based as well, I think it's like a frame of mind thing, because I think it's that difference between being immersed in like the action of like the combat as a character.
Yeah, for sure.
But with turn-based, you're more like a command. It's more like being a general. You're strategizing and putting pieces on the board.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what I remember really liking about that Halo Wars game, because it was the same. You had to place all your pawns in the right spot, and you get this guy attacking this thing. Well, you move this guy around here to start attacking this side, and so on and so forth. And I had fun with it.
So while we're on like games and shows and things like that,
favorite topic.
I want to know. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that's coming up in the next year. There's a lot of stuff. It feels like there's a lot of series that have been out that we're now waiting for the next one. It's like they're all coming out either like end of this year or next year. So you've got like Arcane, The Boys, Invincible, The Witcher, all in production.
Yeah.
What out of all the things that are currently in the works are you most looking forward to?
So me and my fiance have just started watching The Boys.
Oh.
And so we just last night finished the first season.
Okay.
And let me tell you what, I am freaking head over heels for this show, dude.
Oh yeah.
It is so good. And like, there hasn't been a show which is like grabbed me as hard as The Boys had in a long time.
Yeah.
Like, I like to rewatch shows that I love, Rick and Morty, stuff like that, right? Which is always going to be in my heart. But this is like something fresh and new that I had not experienced anything like it before.
Yeah.
So I probably won't be there by the time maybe we'll see when they release the fourth season or fifth, fourth.
Cool.
Yeah. But The Boys is what I would be excited for.
Yeah. I don't know, Spencer, you've watched it, haven't you? You've seen The Boys.
I have. I haven't seen whatever the last season was. I need to go watch that because I know it's pretty well regarded. But yeah, is it a show that you're really into?
I mean, I thought it was brilliant. I mean, it's insane. Like,
Yeah.
there's no bars held there. It's one of those shows as well that it always makes me laugh when people haven't watched it yet. They watch the first series and they're like, "It's a great series. I love it. It's so dark. It's so twisted. And you just think like, oh, my sweet summer child.
Yeah, just wait.
Just wait, because it's like every season you think it can't raise the bar to be any crazier or any more twisted, and every season they do.
Yeah.
So season 4, I don't know where they can go with it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I that's the next thing I need to watch. I need to sit down. I'm going through all the Harry Potter movies right now, but I need to sit down and watch the new season of The Boys, because that whale scene in season 2, holy shit.
No spoilers.
I'm not spoiling anything.
Don't say anything.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying there are horrible things that happen to a whale in season 2.
I remember the horrible things that happened to a dolphin, bro. You remember that or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those shows where you can literally say one word to someone and they know
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I already feel that way, and I'm only on the first season. You could go up to somebody and say, "The Boys, dolphin." They know exactly what's going on.
So yeah, I definitely need to watch I need to watch season 3 of The Boys. That's definitely next on the list. Kind of going down your list a little bit. Invincible is a show that I have mixed feelings on.
Wait, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but that is the animated show, right?
Yeah, I think we watched an episode or two.
I've watched
together.
a lot of episodes of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I'm not like up to date, but I have seen. How many seasons are out now, Holly? Do you know?
The second one is coming out.
Okay, so then I've probably seen all of the first season then.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Invincible was great. I'm definitely gonna watch the second season, but I'm a little like, they just took so long to get the second season out, and I'm like, well, I'm not gonna go rewatch the first season. Like, that's, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I might like watch a recap or something, but it's one of those things where I'm like, man, you guys had such a hype train. Like, when the first season came out, it was all anybody was talking about. Even people that didn't typically watch like animated shows and stuff, everybody was talking about Invincible. And it's like, man, you guys had such a good thing going. You could have released the next season either the next year or the year after that, and it would have been this massive thing. But now we're like 4 years later. And it's like, you're releasing the second season now? Like, I don't know. It just makes me feel weird. I'm just like, man, you guys kind of missed the train a little bit.
Yeah. Also, really quick, I don't know if you have seen this, Holly, or not, but there's a spin-off series called Adam Eve.
Yes, so good.
Dude, there's only just the one episode out right now, right? Or is there 2?
Yeah, it's just the one. I mean, as far as I'm aware, because it's the origin story.
Yes, because I had just watched it like 3 days ago.
Oh, cool.
And oh my gosh, dude, that is gonna
good.
be freaking amazing. Amazing.
That's awesome.
So good. So good.
Yeah, no, I watched that I think about a week ago. And it was one of those things I didn't even know what it was. My husband,
I didn't either. Yeah.
And I walked through, and I kind of had to do a double take because I was like, that's not
like way. Yeah,
wow.
Exactly.
Is it the same like art style and everything?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know if they're doing more of those or if that's just a one-off.
They are doing more, at least from what the internet has said. But I've because I looked that up after, because I thought there was like, a season out. And so once the first episode finished, it switched to a different show. And I'm like, what? That's not what I was expecting at all. But I looked it up, and they say that it is something they're gonna continue to pursue. So hopefully we see more.
Oh, nice.
What are your thoughts on Invincible, Holly? Is it a favorite?
I mean, I really enjoyed it. There was a couple of the characters that I just didn't gel with. I mean, I think there's one character in particular that most people didn't gel with. But yeah, I thought it was just, I watched it pretty much back to back with Arcane. I can't remember if I watched Arcane first and then
Mm.
Invincible or the other way round. But I just remember watching both of them, and at the time I was like, I I love animation. Like I'd never realized before how good it could be,
Yeah.
and that sent me down a rabbit hole of watching. I think I watched like binge through all of the Castlevanias like
Oh, cool.
immediately afterwards, and I loved them as well. So yeah, Invincible, I'd watched kind of animations before, but I never really kind of done a deep dive into it until then.
Yeah.
Now I find random like internet series. So I don't know if you guys have ever heard of one's called Hell of a Boss. That is
Uh-uh.
the funniest show like on the internet.
Mm.
Um, Google it. And I
Okay.
think they're only about 5-10 minutes each episode.
Oh, okay.
But it's so twisted and so wrong. It's just my sense of humor.
Awesome.
But
That's
yeah, I mean,
fantastic. Have you
I
have
loved
you
it.
seen if you like just the animation style of like the combat in Invincible, it's not as bloody, I don't think. But have you ever seen Sword Art Online?
Oh no, I don't. Well,
It's
I don't think I
It's
have.
an anime, like pretty
yeah.
full Japanese anime.
Yeah, it's like it's a straight up anime, and it is very like it has all those like anime tropes that you know that come to mind when you think of anime. So some people will like it, some people won't, but I think it has by far the best animation I've ever seen
Yep,
in an
incredible
anime.
animation, and the story is also like kind of
Yeah.
something that can't be parallel.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's really good,
Yeah.
and yeah, it almost looks like three-dimensional. Like it looks like there's a lot of depth. Like usually anime looks
Yep,
pretty kind of
super.
Yeah.
flat,
It totally is. It's like,
but
especially the newer episodes are like, it's like
yeah.
even if you don't have a 4K TV, it looks like you're watching on a 4K TV.
Yeah. There's this one scene that I'll always remember where the main character is kind of like laying back in this grass and there's this tree above him and the sun coming through it. And the sun is like obviously hitting the tree, which is making a shadow across his face. But then when the wind comes through, you can see the shadow like move with the rest of the leaves. And
Mm.
that's just like something you don't normally see in anime. Like normally it's like a very basic shadow that is kind of shadowing their face or whatever, if that. And so there's just really, really cool things like that in the animation. I think it's really top notch. Um, but anyway, yeah, you should check that out. It's about a guy that basically gets stuck in a video game.
Okay.
And there's kind of like a big mystery behind it and everything. But yeah, so anyway, so we talked about Invincible, we talked about The Boys. Um, Invincible, I will definitely watch. Arcane.
That's one that
I
I have not watched, but I watched the first episode and loved it, but
literally
my fiance didn't like it, so I haven't watched it since.
What?
oh,
It
everybody's
is
been
the
telling you.
best thing.
Yeah, no, I know. I do not disagree. I loved it, but I had like forgotten about it. It's been a long
Yeah.
time since it's been brought up,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, you'll definitely need to watch it. It's one of those things where, like Holly was saying, like I didn't know I could like animation in the way that
Yeah.
I like this. And so that's really cool. I'm definitely gonna need to do a rewatch of the first season to remember what happens because I don't even remember how it ends. I just remember that I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
So season 2 for that, I'll definitely check out. The other one that's kind of coming up, I mean, it's in development. I wouldn't say that it has like a release date yet or anything, but there is a Harry Potter HBO series where
Oh,
they're
whoa.
like
Okay.
rebooting everything and they're following the books. But instead of being movies, it's going to be seasons. So you'll get
Oh,
a whole season in each book and new actors, everything. And I
wow.
don't know if you know this, Holly, but
Oh, yeah,
I've
yeah.
I've just read Harry Potter for the first time.
Do you know what? I got an inkling that you have. Like there's like 10 like thousand
It
updates.
rubs off, huh? It's like
100%.
literally he has an aura of Harry Potter now. Like he's like exuding Harry Potter.
I I love it more than I've loved anything in my whole life. I love Harry Potter so much. And so I've just finished I finished the series pretty recently, like a week ago. I finished the last book. Absolutely fell in love with it. Totally crazy about it. But now I'm going through all the movies because I'd seen the movies when I was like 20 or 19 or something. But back then I was smoking a lot of pot and drinking with like friends while we watched it and stuff. So like it's kind of gone in one ear and out the other. So I really haven't been able to remember really anything that or remember the movies in any significant way. And so going through them this time, I have such a bigger appreciation for them. And I know that there's like a certain group of fans that don't really like the movies. I think they're spot on. But yeah, I'm really excited for the HBO series because I think that could be something that like they could really go into detail in those like little scenes that you don't see in the movies. I think they would have more time to be able to tackle those. And the Harry Potter books are kind of the perfect length for a season. Like I feel like a season of the Philosopher's Stone would be like they could pretty much get everything, I think. So
is it going to be like one of those things where if they don't stick completely to the book, you're going to get real mad about it?
Yeah.
It will.
Okay.
I'm just that guy. I know.
Well, you know that they probably won't.
I know.
Okay.
Thanks, Gabe.
Yeah.
I'm
just trying to prepare you for it, dude. I don't want you to like. I'm gonna have to come over and like hold you while you cry, dude. I don't want to have to do that.
We can do that anyway.
Yeah, I would do it anyways.
Regardless of how the show is.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so then the other. Sorry to steal the show for a second here. The next season of Yellow Jackets is what I'm really looking forward to.
Yes.
Gabe and I got super into Yellow Jackets. And we got super into Last of Us, so I'll just tie those into one.
Yeah.
The next season of Last of Us.
I haven't watched either of these yet, just one.
Oh,
what?
dude.
Oh my gosh, Holly. We okay.
They're on my list, 100%.
Okay. Are they at the top?
They're near the top. We've just
if they're not, you should probably bump them up a little bit. Bump them up to the top.
Holly, these are series that like I recommend them to everybody, but
you can't even explain how
you specifically would love them.
Yeah.
Like especially Yellow Jackets. Like I think you would love The Last of Us just because it's like dark and gritty and everything. But Yellow Jackets, I think you specifically would love that.
I totally agree.
It's so just creepy and dark in the most
like the best way possible.
Yeah. Oh god. It's so do you know what it's about?
Yeah, I mean I've been like planning to watch it for probably a couple of weeks now. What's it on? Is it like an Amazon one or
it's on HBO? Paramount. Oh, Paramount. Yeah, Paramount Plus. Yeah.
Last of Us is on HBO and then Yellow Jackets is on Paramount. Yeah, it's so good. You're gonna love it. I promise you. Like as soon as you start it, you probably got to get like I think it took Gabe like 2 or 3 episodes before he was really into it.
Super into it, but even the first episode is like enough. It was enough to grab me, but then like exponentially, I'm like, whoa, okay, I'm in for this shit, dude. Yeah. I'm ready.
Yeah, it gets to a certain point in the story where you're just like, oh, this is what's happening.
This is crazy.
And it just like explodes. It's so good. It's so good. But yeah, anyway, sorry, you're gonna love it.
Yeah, I will bump that one. I mean, from that I'll probably just watch it as my next thing. I mean, so I do need a new one, but I mean, I'm back to Critical Role at the moment, and that's like every campaign they do is like 4 hours per episode, and there's like
that's so
100
wild.
episodes per season. So
I don't know how people, man, there is. They have an audience, man, and there are people that keep up with every. Do you know what Critical Role is, Gabe?
Don't think so.
It's correct me if I'm wrong, Holly, but it's these people that play D&D, but they're all like actors, kind of, and they actually like
act out their own characters and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool, dude.
And so you're listening to a D&D game, but it's like very, very, very high production value.
Whoa. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, it's a commitment because it is so long. But
Yeah.
I find that I put it on like when I'm doing stuff, and like 90% of it you don't have to watch. It's like a podcast,
Right.
you can just listen to it.
Oh, okay.
But
I thought there
don't.
was visuals.
I mean, you can watch it. I mean, I sit and watch it sometimes, but you don't have to. I
Yeah.
mean, you don't lose
You have the option.
going on. But they did a Kickstarter that just went crazy a few years back, and I think they raised over $1 million in about an hour or something
Oh,
like that.
wow.
And they funded a animated series, which is on Amazon now. So there's 2 seasons out. They're currently in production with the 3rd one, and they're also going to do an animated series of their 2nd campaign as well.
Whoa,
So even if
that's
you
so
don't watch
cool.
the game, you can
Yeah.
watch the animation, and you kind of get the same storyline, but just in a much shorter,
Yeah.
compact package. And it's funny. It's so funny.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so cool.
Gabe, I have seen a couple episodes of the animated thing, and I think that it would be exactly your thing.
Oh, dude, I'm
I don't
down.
know.
What's it called? What's the name of it?
It's The Legend of Vox Machina.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
I don't know
And
why
it's
I
on.
never.
You said it's on Amazon, like Prime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. It's going in my notes right now.
I don't know why I never recommended it to you before. It's like totally your thing.
The
Yeah.
Legend of
VOX.
Vox Machina.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right, that's cool. I'll check that out today
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, that's fair. I think you like it.
Yeah.
It's well worth, if you get a chance, have a look at the YouTube videos, because I mean they do spin-offs and like one shots, and they do like gaming tutorials. I mean it's crazy. They've become like an empire now.
Yeah.
You know, they have so many fans, but they're so good at what they do. You just can't argue with their success.
For
at
sure.
all.
Yeah.
True that.
Yeah. Yeah. They have a really cool audience, even though like I'm not specifically into it. I really appreciate what they've built and the kind of community that they've fostered. I think that that's just it's really cool. Like they're like YouTube superstars basically.
Yeah.
It's really awesome.
Yeah, and I follow a couple of them on Twitter, like the actors that play the main cast role, and a few of the ones that are like regular guests, and they're just so, you know, it sounds stupid because, you know, just because someone's on TV or internet doesn't mean that they're going to be an asshole.
Right.
But
Yeah.
over time, you know, you get that kind of vibe. But with these guys, they're so into their community, and like they're so supportive, and they reach out to like independent artists, and they bring like independent writers into their team, animators, like, you know, they work with the big studios obviously because they work with Amazon, but they put those ladders out for you know, the independents and the small businesses, and it's really cool to see them use that power they've accumulated to put so much good.
Oh,
you know,
that's
cool.
that
That's really cool.
That makes me really
cool.
happy.
I'm going to move on to my second game that I have planned for the night.
Okay.
Because
All right.
Obviously we've been talking for a while now, a couple of years, and I like to think we're fostering stronger, better relationships between the US and, you know, England.
There you go.
Yeah,
I like that.
I thought we'd go for a language themed game, because obviously I think something that throws
okay,
people
cool.
is you watch shows that are based in England, you read books, and there must be words and like slang and phrases that you come across.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
What the hell is that? So I want to see how many of these English slang words or phrases you know, or if you can guess what they mean.
Okay. All right. I like
think
that.
they're pretty easy, but you know, I'm English, so
sure.
Okay. So first one: if I was to tell you that I was knackered, what would I mean?
Or
tired.
Easy one.
Yep.
Okay, I was gonna say drunk.
Nope. Tired. Knackered. I'm knackered. Ready for bed.
Okay.
Yeah. Knackered, tired. Okay, so this one I don't know if I don't know if you have the same phrases over there. So
Sure.
if you were to say that someone was up the duff.
Oh.
Ooh.
Up the duff.
Would it be like up the stream?
No.
Up the river?
Like up their own ass about something.
No, but I like that guess. That is good.
Or
no,
like,
so if
wait, hang on. Okay. Like
he's gonna get there.
Yeah.
Lying or like over exaggerating something.
Over exaggerating.
No? Okay. All right. That was my final guess.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is the thing with English slang, because it always means something that sounds. It doesn't sound anything like.
Yeah.
So
right.
So yeah, up the Duff, pregnant.
Oh, okay.
I would not have
Gotcha.
guessed
Yeah, I
that.
probably wouldn't have guessed that either.
Although
No,
I was
I mean,
close
that's
with
a
up
good
your
one.
own ass.
Yeah, true. You were close. Close.
I don't let Spencer do like any sex education videos.
I know. I would not. He would probably end up in jail after his first teaching session. So
Oh my god.
Okay, so next one. Do you know what 11sies are?
11sies. Like last call?
But no, but that's a good answer. I like that.
yeah,
Or
my
like a
guess.
brunch?
Sort of actually, yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty close. So basically at 11 o'clock in the morning, everybody in England has a cup of tea and a biscuit
Cup
by
of tea and a
law.
biscuit. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
11sies.
So that's what you
Uh,
would say, like, hey, come over for like 11sies. I'm sure
Yeah.
that's different, but okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I mean brunch was pretty close.
Yeah.
Right.
Good job, Spence.
Next one then. What would someone be if you said they were minted?
Like fresh, like nice clothes.
Yeah, I would probably say like somewhere near the same, like very well done,
Yeah.
maybe.
Or like a new car, like that new car
Yeah.
is minted.
See, for us, mint means
Yeah.
like brand new, so
Yeah.
it's different.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else that could maybe be
Minted.
hinted.
I would say out of all of them, this is probably the one that actually makes sense when you hear what it means.
Okay,
Like
yeah.
it smells good.
No, minted is someone who's rich. So if you're rich, you're minted.
Oh, because yes, a mint. That okay, totally makes
Okay.
sense. All right.
Interesting.
He's minted. All right, yeah. I want to be
Okay.
Okay,
minted
so I have
someday.
two more for you.
Okay.
So I think so far, Spencer, you've got one, haven't you?
I've got one.
Yeah.
Oh, you've got one. Okay.
I got knackered.
Okay, so two more. So what would I be if I said that I was Hank Marvin?
If you say it again,
Hank Marvin.
I was
Hank-
Hank Marvin.
is it 2 words or 1 word?
One word. I feel
It's
like.
Hank Marvin.
Okay.
So like the name Hank Marvin.
Hungry and starving?
Yes.
What?
Yes!
Got
Let's
it in
go! Let's
What?
go!
How
Let's
did you
go!
guess
Let's go!
that?
Let's go!
How did you guess that?
Got it, dude. I got
Hungry
it. Hank
starving.
Marvin, hungry, Marvin starving, hungry
Yeah.
starving.
Oh my god.
Yeah!
I love that. Like, that's a proper logic train as
Oh,
well.
it totally is,
Wow.
dude. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hungry starving. I love it.
Oh,
That's awesome.
I wouldn't have guessed that in a million years.
All right, so last one, pressure's on. I'm almost afraid to read this one out because I'm scared of what Spencer's guesses might be.
Oh, now I'm excited.
What would it mean if you said someone had dropped a clanger?
It means that they shit themselves.
I knew that was what you were gonna say.
Yeah,
I
she
dropped-
literally knew that from the second she
I
incepted
dropped
that
a
idea.
clanger in my pants. Dropped a clanger.
I'm gonna say like they drop some coins or drop some metal or something that clangs.
No, sadly, you are both wrong in that case.
Okay.
If you drop a clanger, it's basically you make a public mistake or do something embarrassing. So
Oh, I see.
drop the
Okay.
I do
clanger.
that all the
Okay.
time.
Dropped a clanger. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So there
Okay.
you go. I feel like you've learned some new words that you can
Yes,
use
I totally
now.
have.
Yeah.
Like, if you can
Hank Marvin,
actually
dude.
remember
That's
them.
I'm literally gonna. That's my new thing for hungry and starving. Seriously.
What was it again? Hark and Marvin?
No, Hank Marvin.
Hank Marvin.
Yeah.
That's
That was
awesome.
awesome.
I'd actually know this British guy at my work that has a very thick accent and says all this stuff. So I'm gonna go up to him
Hank
one day, like at
Marvin
lunch,
on
and be like, "Hey,
lunch.
let's go
Hank
get some
Marvin.
food. I'm Hank Marvin."
Oh, that's
See what he
great.
You
says.
totally should.
Yeah, I will. I totally will. I totally will.
I feel like we've just grown closer as two communities now.
Oh, yeah,
Absolutely,
for sure.
absolutely. It was
There's
awesome.
there was one word that I kept seeing come up in your books, and I wish I could remember what it was because I've always wanted to be like, what does this mean?
Oh,
like,
now you have to find it, dude.
I know.
We can't end this podcast without me knowing what the frick you're talking about.
I mean, I'd have to go through and like read read a book. I can't remember.
Well, how many?
It'll come to you later when like you're
That's
not
true.
thinking
Yeah.
about it.
Message her on Twitter and then you can
Yeah.
text me and be like, all right, this is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, he's going for it.
He's
Just
going
flip to
in.
page like 98 and see if you can find it there.
What's a balustrade?
A balustrade.
Balustrade, wouldn't that be like a defense
It's like
thing?
yeah, it's like a railing or
Yeah.
a fencing around the top of
Kind of
something.
like a Merlin, right? A Merlin is also some protective barrier.
Yeah, so like when you get on top of like castles and
Mhm.
fortresses, you get like the weird
Yeah, the blocks and stuff that
yeah,
go down. Cool.
yeah. You get them like on ships as well.
Yeah.
You know what? There was a thing where and I listened to the audiobook, so maybe I don't have this word right, but there's, and I don't know if it's like a British thing or if it's just like a phrase that I didn't understand. But there was a moment where when oh my God, what's her name?
Carmen.
Carmen, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a moment where he goes and gets her from Henriette's and he takes her to
The club.
the club, but I can't remember the guy's name, the old guy's name. He takes her there to like get information. And there's something he says when she comes back. He asks like, did he hurt you or did he do anything like this? And she's like, no, he mostly just had my fat in his mouth the whole time. Is that the right?
Oh, foot.
Foot.
Oh, okay. It was just RJ's. It was just RJ's pronunciation of it. That sounded like that. Because I was always
really
like,
confusing.
yeah, I was like, what does that mean to have? I mean, like I can imagine like what it would mean, but
Yeah.
I'm like, what does it mean to have fat in your mouth?
No, it's foot. It was just a dirty old guy with a foot fetish.
Foot fetish, yep.
That's fantastic.
That's fantastic, he says.
Anyway.
Yeah, we're moving on now. Moving on. We're gonna get rid of that.
Well, this one's probably going to be a little more thought-provoking.
Okay.
This is what I would like to call Gabe and Spencer's advice for life section.
Oh God.
Where you dispense wisdom to the rest of the world. So
all right.
I would drop some plankers.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you guys could go back in time and give your younger self a piece of advice, what would you say to yourself, like to improve your life?
So I know I've thought about this a lot, and I do know what I would say, and I think Spencer has probably maybe slightly similar thing. When I was younger, I was very much kind of the outlier, I guess, excluded from stuff, and I wasn't super popular, which I know is a story for some, and it sucks. But the way that I coped with that was by drinking and using drugs and doing bad things. And so I would tell myself to just understand that like you don't have to do those things. Just give it some time, talk to somebody, and you'd be much better off.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's that's advice that a lot of people need to hear.
For sure.
Anyway,
you just have to there's just a patience that's involved. Like I know it hurts at the time, but it eventually will stop, and there's ways to cope with it that are not harmful.
Yeah, I was actually talking to a buddy about this the other day. I phrased it like mine was a little bit different. I was like, if you had a time machine and could go back and live in your younger body all the way up to now, would you do it? My kind of answer to that question was, for a long time, I've been the kind of person that can talk to anybody about anything. But that probably didn't start until I was like very, very end of high school or into my 20s and stuff. And I used to have a thing where, as I was growing up, I just had in my head, it was a constant thing of, what am I supposed to say in this moment? Like, what are people expecting to hear in this conversation? And I would overanalyze everything. Like everything would just get so overanalyzed. And so I would definitely go back and be like, just chill. Like just say whatever's on your mind, whether you think people will like it or not. And I think that when you're young, you kind of have this idea of, and this was part of the conversation I had the other day, where it's like, I've always been into like video games and fantasy books and stuff. But from the time I was like, I don't know, 14 to like 23 or something, or 24, I would just be like, oh, I don't play video games. Nah, I don't do any of that stuff. I do, list whatever other hobbies. And I do have a lot of other hobbies outside of like video games and fantasy books and stuff like that that are more like, I don't know, I guess mainstream. But back in the day, I would look at those things like, oh, I can't tell anybody I do that, because then I would be labeled like a nerd or whatever. And I think that, fantasy in general has gotten a lot more mainstream, and it's a lot more like culturally accepted in any given demographic. But I would love to go back and be like, dude, just love what you love. Like, don't annoy anybody with it, but love what you love, and the people that like those things will actually come to you.
Yeah.
And like, you don't need to worry about like, oh, like there's this really popular person, like I want to make sure that that I'm liking the same things that they like so that we can be friends. And I think there's such a shallowness when you're in like junior high and high school, and you think that everybody is kind of one thing. And you don't really see everybody as these kind of multifaceted people that they really are. Everybody kind of puts their one thing on the outside, like, oh, I'm a skateboarder, or oh, I play football and that's my thing, or I'm really into cars and that's my thing. And so I would, part of my advice to my younger self would just be like, realize that people are more than they seem on the outside. And if you like, people know when you're being fake, so the more that you put your real self on the outside, the more you put like all of the things that you're interested in, and you kind of wear that on your sleeve. People tend to like genuine people, and I think that genuine people kind of attract everybody. And so yeah, I would say that would probably be my biggest piece of advice. And like Gabe said, probably don't do drugs for the
don't
majority
do
of your
drugs. Yeah,
of your high
that'll
school.
help a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just general good advice.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
I mean, that's
a good question.
But I mean, they're great answers as well. And I think one thing that strikes me that is interesting is talking about, feeling like an outlier and, not being part of that kind of core popular group. Is as I've kind of moved through my life, and especially like as I've got older and branched out into more of my own interests and been more confident to pursue them, I find that I meet so many more people who feel that way than whoever were like, oh yeah, I was the popular kid and like everyone liked me.
Yep.
And it's kind of got to the point now where the outliers outnumber the what would be considered, the cool or the mainstream. So it's interesting to me the way that that's kind of developed, and it's possibly because of the internet and things like this, and people talking about fantasy and anime and sci-fi and things like that. But it kind of feels like we've got to the point now where if we had to, we could take them in a fight.
That's right.
Yeah. There's more nerds now than there ever has been.
And plus, like all the popular people that were the king of the crop when I was in high school, like now are just like, they're just normal folk. Like they have a wife and they have 2 kids and they go to church and they're just normal people. It's just a phase of going through puberty, and that whole social aspect, it can just be so hard to navigate. You don't just understand the way that it's going to work. And so I had, just had trouble navigating.
Yeah. And I think a big part of it too is like, you are shoved into this school with sometimes hundreds of other kids.
Yeah.
And you're like so closely confined with all these people. Sometimes you have the same like people in every single class. And so you're all analyzing each other so much. And like, man, even me, like having a roommate, I cannot have a roommate that I see too often because I just like, I get so tired of like that like person being in my space all the time. I think that that's kind of, what high school is. And there's such a pressure to always be giving your best impression, like first, second, third, fourth, fifth impression. Like you're doing that every single day. And
Yeah.
I think that there's such a pressure to like always be on top of your A game. Because there's like, to be honest, there's nothing to do in high school. And that's why high school drama starts. And that's why like rumors start and stuff in schools. And so that's why everybody is always, trying to be like so on top of it all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I would have had a much better time if I had just like completely relaxed and been like, I'm at this school for 3 years or 4 years or whatever it is. And then after that, I'm probably going to go on and meet a bunch of other people.
For real, yeah.
Like
All new
honestly,
people.
there's maybe one or two people that I still talk to from high school, like maybe.
Yeah.
And like everybody I know in my day-to-day life now, I haven't even really known them for like 4 years, you know what I mean? Besides Gabe, I've known him for, I think it's going on 5 now.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of my or two of my friends actually here now where I've moved to, one of them definitely would have been like one of the popular kids back in the high school days. And I got to know him and we started hanging out a lot. And then I found out that he's like super into Star Wars, like super like geeky
Yeah.
into Star Wars, like next level. And I'm like, oh dude, like that is not what I would have expected from you. And so I think that, like I said, people are multifaceted, and I feel like everybody's kind of got their nerdy thing, whatever that is, whether they're really, really into fixing cars. Like if you go deep enough
Yeah.
into getting into fixing cars, that can definitely become like a nerdy thing. And everything's like that though. Like I believe that anything that you're super into can be nerdy in a way. And so I think, part of that high school experience that people don't realize is that everybody kind of has that thing. And then the other side of it too is another one of my friends that I hang out with almost every single day. He like he definitely would have been like the jock, like you know what I mean, like the very stereotypical jock. And we have a few things in common, but mostly we just kind of listen to each other's like stories and interests and stuff. And so I think that's another thing that, when I was in high school, the way I judged who I was going to be friends with is like, how many things do we have in common? Like, how many things, like, oh, are we both skateboarders? Okay, then we can be really good friends because we can go skateboard every day or whatever. Or we're both really into video games or whatever the thing is. But the truth is, a lot of my friends, like, we don't necessarily have a ton in common. But if you're a halfway decent human being, you find interest in what the other person's interests are. And so I think that, a lot of those friends, like I probably could have been friends with a lot more people in high school if I had kind of opened my mind to other people's interests. And of course, then it takes them like opening their mind to my interests and stuff. But anyways, that's a tangent. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
It's all good.
It's interesting because I mean, if you look at the way kind of the world, and especially like the social media aspect and the internet, it almost has become like high school where people are, you are this thing, you are this political leaning, or you are into this, music, and it's putting everybody into these categories where, there's no looking at the depth of who the person is. It's just, what are you affiliated, what are you aligned with?
Yeah.
And it kind of is almost like a parallel of that high school experience to an extent.
Yeah, I say all the time, I think that the internet has done just as many amazing things as it has done terrible things.
Yeah.
And, I think that, depending on, everybody's interactions on the internet are going to be different. But I think that the bad side of that is, what you're saying, where there's definitely like, it's kind of classifying people and putting people into certain boxes or whatever. But the other thing that's kind of cool about the internet, and we talked about this earlier, is that it's kind of opened the door to people understanding like nerd culture more, and like the MCU is huge, and like Star Wars got huge, and even Lord of the Rings, they've all gotten very mainstream. And I think that's because of the internet and the people who like may have been the jock in high school who didn't want to tell anybody that they really loved Lord of the Rings. Now they go on the internet and see there's a whole world of people that enjoy that same thing.
Yep.
And so I think in those kind of ways, it's helped a lot. And it's kind of connected people that wouldn't normally be super connected. But undoubtedly, the flip side of that is like Twitter.
Just
It's
awful
just
people
a
out there somewhere, dude.
cesspool. Twitter does a lot of great things. I don't want to say it doesn't, but man, there's sometimes
It all
where
depends on the user, dude. The internet's an awesome place until somebody says that it isn't, you know? So they make it that it isn't.
Yeah.
100%, which actually leads me beautifully.
Yes. All right.
Question that I have for you. It's such a smooth transition. I love it.
I love it.
Perfect.
So what I would like to know, because it's my birthday and I want to end tonight on a positive.
Yeah.
In a world that is currently a little bit crazy and a little bit chaotic and definitely very negative a lot of the time, how do you guys keep trucking? How do you like keep that positive mindset that you have?
Ooh.
It's a good question, and I know the answer because I was thinking about this a lot, probably the past month, learning about world events and different things that were happening that are just scary and terrible. And at one point, I realized that it's not about the way that, I mean, it is about the way that I feel, but that's not what was important about this revelation. It was the people that I surround myself with. Because I've got a lot of people right now, Spencer, my fiance, really amazing friends I met at work that are also on the boat of, yeah, everything's kind of negative and sad and like there's some scary stuff that's happening, but like we're not going to let that hurt us to the point where we can't enjoy living, you know? And so that's been like the saving grace for me was, you know, Spencer lives in Idaho, I live in Washington, so we don't really get to see each other in person all that often. And so for a while I was pretty down and pretty depressed because, you know, and I love my fiance, she's incredible, but like, you know, she was it. That was the only person that I ever really interacted with other than Spencer. And so it was just kind of tough. And now that I've got a couple more people, I'm starting to realize and understand that like, I think that's what makes me, you know, is having people around me that are positive and that just supportive and stuff like that. That's really important to the way that I think. So that's what saved me is having people that care enough about me to like support me and, you know, to say, hey, how are you doing? Or, hey, you look kind of sad today. What, you know, let's talk about it. Stuff like that.
That's a good answer. I think for me, you know, there's days where like, you know, I spend so much time on Twitter doing stuff for like the podcast and stuff. And so I see a lot of the negativity, and I used to be the kind of person that would like chime in on every little thing and be like, actually, you're wrong, because but now I've gotten to a point where, you know, people will comment stuff on my posts if I have like a hot take or whatever, and they'll be like, oh, well, you just don't get it because blah, 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 or you're out of touch or whatever. And normally I would have been the kind of guy that would like snap back and be like, no, and then like come in with whatever logic I think I have. But now I'm at the point where I'm just like it's really not worth responding to at all. Like this is not the kind of person that I'm ever going to convince of anything. This is not the kind of person that really cares what I have to think. So why would I, you know, waste minutes that I could spend you know, sending a message to Holly or talking to Gabe or whatever. As you know, it just doesn't really make sense to do that for me a lot of the time. But something that's really helped me in the past year or so is, you know, like Gabe said, he lives in Washington, I live in Idaho. And I was living in Washington, specifically in a town called Tacoma. And it's very like, not like inner city, but it's like downtown.
Yeah,
like,
it's very
like in the heart of downtown. Yeah. And so, you know, you spend all day on the internet seeing all this negativity, and then you get home and just like the downtown area is really just kind of grimy and
Yeah.
sad and
Unhealthy.
yeah, and just kind of unhealthy. And a lot of the people that I was living with were, or not living with, but they were living in my apartment complex, were just kind of like kind of unhealthy themselves. There was a few like really good people that I became good friends with, but a lot of them were like really negative and stuff. And so I was living that way. I think I lived there for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And I was just living that way. And I'm like, man, like there is something about where I'm living and all of the interactions that I'm having on the internet, not even necessarily like person on person interactions, but just like articles and all sorts of stuff that pop up on the internet every day. And it was just kind of like this overwhelming negativity. And I thought about like moving to somewhere else in Washington, but I'm like, I don't really want to do that again. And so I made the decision to move to like very much small town Idaho. Like I'm in like a small, like, it's kind of a touristy town, but it's also like, it's like a tiny, tiny town. And I was like, I think I just need to get out of the city. Like I need the complete opposite of whatever I have now.
Yeah.
And so I packed up all my stuff and I came out here and I moved in with a good friend of mine. And then eventually like, got my own place and found a new career out here with a new company and whatever. And I think that's been one of the best decisions I've made in the past few years. Because coming out here, I was really worried. I'm like, is this even going to change anything? Like, will I still feel like so anxious and depressed and all this stuff? I'm like, I bet that maybe in a year, I'll probably just want to go back to Washington. And I love going back and visiting Washington. I love seeing Gabe. I love seeing my mom and the rest of my family. But I have noticed such a complete 180 day to day being somewhere out here where it's a little bit more rural. It's more small town. You go to the store and the people in line are like talking to each other and the cashier knows each person that's kind of coming through. And, there's a community of people that, like sell goods to each other. Like I work in construction. And all of the stores around here like know us by name, like each worker by name, because we go in there and we buy stuff from them, and it kind of becomes like this community. Whereas before in Tacoma, I could go to the big lumber store out there. Essentially, they've never seen me before because
and nobody would ever remember.
Of people through that door every day. And so it's cool to kind of build those connections with my local supermarket cashier or the guy that sells me lumber or whatever. Like we all know each other by name. And not only that, but then just like the friendships I've made out here and how their views go less from how do I phrase this? I feel like when you're living in the city, it's very like first world problem-y. And like every little thing is like a huge deal. And you come out here and the friends that I have out here are extremely laid back. They just want to hang out and have a beer over dinner or whatever. Or like I have one friend that I work out with every day. It's just been a better community for me overall. And so I think that that's something that has definitely kept me significantly more positive. Like I've noticed a big difference in how I look at things day to day. So sorry, I know that was kind of long, but
no, it was good though.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, honestly, I think it all comes down to everyone needs a sense of belonging. Like everyone needs to feel like they belong somewhere or with someone. And I think a lot of the things that we've talked about, like the nerd culture and the moving to another state or whatever it takes, it's just all about finding that place where you feel like you belong.
That's right.
And I just think that's like, it's just such a lovely, sweet sentiment to end this on. That's just spot on. I mean, this has been great fun for me. I'm not going to lie. I don't think this is something I'm going to do full time. I take my hat off to you guys for doing it.
Well, I want to also tip my hat up to you because the questions that you asked were so good.
Yeah.
And were so insightful. I was when you had talked to Mick and you had other ones, I was I was pleasantly surprised with how
Yeah.
awesome you went into it. So you did a wonderful job.
Yeah.
Wonderful job.
Thank you. I really appreciate you being
Yeah.
up for this. It was great fun, but I
Yeah.
think I'm ready to hand it back to you, Spencer, now.
There you go, Spencer. Take the reins.
Well, Holly, thank you so much for joining us. Seriously, like Gabe said, this has been
Wonderful
like
job.
a ton of fun. I've totally enjoyed the past couple hours
Yep.
with you guys. It's been brilliant, as the English would say.
Top notch.
Top notch. That's right.
But yeah, so thank you for joining us and happy birthday. By the time everybody's seeing this, your birthday will have been 2 days prior. But tomorrow is your birthday. I hope you have a fantastic day. Have a great time at the aquarium and whatever else you guys decide to do with that.
Thank you. And we need to start. We need to think of a cool thing to do next year as well if we're going to do this as an annual thing.
Oh, he will.
Sure. Yeah,
he will.
I'm gonna build a cake next year.
Yeah, that's right. He's gonna make his own cake. He's gonna bake it. He's gonna bake it himself.
He's gonna get in it and then burst out of it.
Oh, that'd be so sick.
I'll have to like go to Idaho for this next time and like help him set up this freaking badass cake thing. Hanging on. There he is. There's the buddy boy. There's the buddy boy.
Mine's currently asleep behind me. I'm trying not to wake him up because if I do, I'm worried he'll like knock everything over.
All right. Well, I think that is going to wrap us up. Thank you guys so much for hanging out today. This has been a ton of fun. Listeners or viewers, whatever, if you would like to follow us, you can do so on Twitter and Discord. You can also follow us on Patreon, of course, if you'd like to throw us a few bucks for exclusive content. I'm not sure what's coming up after this. Mick and I did a couple episodes together. One of them's on world building, so I think that'll be one of the next ones that we talk about our favorite fantasy worlds and our favorite just parts of well-written world building in general. So that'll be a fun episode. That'll be up next. Mick has a review for Sanderson's Yumi and the Nightmare Painter that's going to be coming up. That'll probably be a weekend episode or a weekend video for next week. But I think that's kind of what's on the docket and what you guys can expect for the next week or so. Also, today I just uploaded, well, the day of this recording, I just uploaded my big Harry Potter review. Where I talk about all 7 books in a spoiler-free way and then in a spoiler way. I think it's like 25 minutes long, and it's probably one of the best videos I've ever done. Awesome. I literally worked on it for like 4 hours a night for the past week or so. Yeah. So I really hope you guys enjoy that. If you like that or have any interest in Harry Potter, please go check that out. And until next time, happy birthday, Holly. And we will see you all in the next video.
Yes. Amazing.
Bye.
And a big shout out to our first Night Angel tier patron, Shad Zaman. Thank you so much, man.